It's been a considerable time since I've made a video for this channel, but something arrived kind of in the junk mail actually today, which I thought merited sharing with you. It's called Dignity in Dying, and there's a website which I'll put a link to. But I thought I'd share this leaflet with you, the contents of this leaflet with you, because whilst I know some of you who fight the corner for the right to die, when there is nothing, when you're not actually dying, if you see what I mean, when you don't have a terminal illness. If you can't even do it when you have a terminal illness, then what chance do you have any other way? So this to me is a start for those rights to develop. And this is British, but obviously the same principles apply. It actually says here, under UK law, you have no right at the end of life to control the manner or time of your death, which is true in pretty much every country in the West, I believe. Please help us change this. And this picture of this woman on the front, which says, who's called Geraldine McClelland. It says, by the time you read this, I will have been assisted to die in Switzerland, which is somewhere that people from this country tend to go because you're allowed to do it over there, which is completely ridiculous, really. If you can do it there, why can't you do it here? This is also endorsed by Terry Pratchett, which I'm sure pretty much all of you will have heard of. He says, he now has early onset Alzheimer's. I endorse the work of Dignity in Dying because I believe passionately that any individual should have the right to choose, as far as it is possible, the time and the conditions of their death. I think it is time we learned to be as good at dying as we are at living. Perhaps it's time for us to be even better at living and dying. So I'll just read this through, and then to put the link in, any comments you wish to make, feel free. Why are we here? Dignity in Death believes that high quality end-of-life care should be complemented by the choice of an assisted death for terminally ill, mentally competent adults who meet strict safeguards. Without a change in the law, terminally ill people will suffer against their wishes and will continue to make decisions without the advice of medical or social care professionals. Those who can afford to will travel abroad for an assisted death. Others will attempt suicide behind closed doors. Some will refuse food and water to bring about their death, and far too many will ask family members and loved ones to help them die. All will be denied the choice of a safe assisted death in their own home at the time of their choosing. None of these options allow open and honest conversations with health and social care professionals, and the only deterrent against abuse is the threat of prosecution after somebody has died. Assisted dying legislation would introduce upfront safeguards to check for abuse and coercion before somebody dies. In short, we want a greater choice and greater protection for people at the end of life. I'll read more in a minute, but I think that is interesting. I mean, I know some of you who sort of fight for your right to die. That there is a complexity in this, and which is kind of summed up quite nicely in there, in that people can be coerced into doing things that, and once you've ended your life, you can't come back from it. Or, the assessment that the moment has truly arisen, rather than whim is the wrong term, but that somebody would feel at a particular moment that would want to happen, that they'd want that to happen, whereas if the circumstances were slightly different, they might not, and those circumstances might change in the short term. So that I think what people have gone overboard about trying to do is to cover themselves for this kind of eventuality, that people make a decision which they can't go back on, but would regret. But that doesn't mean that the door should be closed to all. That's just that's just ridiculous too. The only other thing in here, other than the offer to make a donation, is Geraldine's story. And it says, my name is Geraldine McClelland. I am 61 years old and I am dying from lung and liver cancer. By the time you read this, I will have been assisted to die in Switzerland. I made this choice knowing that it was the right decision for me, and I am not sad that I will die. I know that I am dying now, and only have weeks to live. I have had a good life, and I want my life to end with me still in control of it. I don't want to have to suffer any more. But I am angry that the cowardice of our politicians means that I can't die in the country I was born in my own home, with my loved ones by my side. Please don't feel sad for me. If you feel anything at all when you read this, then please turn it into a fight to change the law so that other people don't have to travel abroad to die, and that those who are unable to because they can't travel or can't afford the fees don't have to attempt suicide at home or continue to suffer. If you care about this issue at all, please make your voice heard. Dignity in Dying is the only organisation campaigning for a change in the law so that people like me, who are dying but still mentally capable, can have the choice of an assisted death at home in the UK. Every person that joins or supports Dignity in Dying takes us one step closer to a change in the law. And I intend to have a good rummage myself of this site, because I very much would endorse that and support that, and think that the law is an ass in this respect as well as many others. So yes, I thought you might be interested in that, and I'm actually quite. I know that things are quite different in other parts of the world. I wonder if you have anything comparable to this.